Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
And we are back with this very special edition of Atlanta Business Radio. It is time for GSU ENI Radio, broadcasting live here from the Georgia State University's Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute. First up on this episode, we have with us the good folks from DelivHer FemCare, Miss Dia Davis and Chanté Knox. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Now, Chanté, you brought your partner in crime here, Dia.
I did.
So you got the whole dream team. So tell us, for the listeners who aren't aware, tell us about DelivHer FemCare. How are you serving folks?
All right. So DelivHer FemCare is a personalized menstrual care solution subscription service. We've also created a new absorbent menstrual cup for use by women during their cycle as an alternative to tampons. So that product has been patented, and we're working on our final prototype. We're working on our final prototype as we speak.
And you're doing that because you're involved in a big event coming up.
Absolutely. We're involved in the Main Street Entrepreneurship Seed Fund Demo Day, which is really big for us. Yes.
And that's a chance for people to see your product. Lots of famous judges and from all over the place are coming down just to see this.
Yes,
they're
going to be
other cohort folks.
A lot of big name players, decision makers for some from Kimberly-Clark, I hear, Target. So we're looking for manufacturing and distribution partners for this go round. And
then Dia, tell us about your involvement in the company.
Well, as I like to say, Chanté is the visionary person.
Right.
She is the end-to-end solution in terms of how we really create a product that is for women and by women. And with that, I am more of operational in terms of the day-to-day of how we get the product to market and really are able to make it a business. And I think those forces together really allow us to create a company and a business outside of just being prepared for a competition, but an overall organization that we want to really be a multi-billion-dollar company, as we like to say.
So how did you two meet?
Well, we met through our advisor, Dr. Monlouis. Mm-hmm. She teaches entrepreneurship and innovation. Dia was a student of hers, and I met Dr. Monlouis at an entrepreneurship event. Mm-hmm. I just showed up. I was a student at Georgia State, and I was like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'd like to know what you guys are doing here.
I'm here.
Right.
You guys talk about this a lot.
Exactly.
So what are you going to do for me?
So I talked to her about my product, my idea, the vision I had to commercialize it and bring it to market. And she took me under her wing. So she suggested that I enter the eFest competition, which was last year in April. We won, by the way. She suggested that. And one of the requirements for entering the competition was to have a partner.
Oh, you had to have somebody else.
Mm-hmm. So before meeting Dia, I was doing everything
yourself
by myself. I was determined to bring this product to market, and come hell or high water, I was going to make it happen. And when she introduced me to Dia, it was like kismet.
Really? So you clicked right away?
We clicked. Mm-hmm. I had interviewed maybe about 20 other people.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were looking for someone?
Well, no, it was for the competition.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So and Dr. Monlouis introduced me to a few people. I'm also a member of GSU Launch, so I was interviewing people there. And for one reason or another, it just didn't work with other people. But when I met Dia, we actually met over the phone. Dr. Monlouis said, I have the perfect person for you. And she gave Dia the phone. We talked, and I was like, yeah, I want Dia. And
so what did you say, Dia, that kind of made this happen?
Well, the funny story behind that is I was in the middle of taking an exam. And I was on campus, but I took a bathroom break, and Dr. Monlouis saw me and stopped me before I was going to the bathroom. And she was like, hey, I need you for something. Are you available in April? And I was like, for what? And so she explains the competition, and she's like, but I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's a patented product, and and she just goes on about it. And I was like,
and you were in the middle of a test.
Right. I was in the middle of a test, and I had to go to the bathroom. So I was like, perfect timing. But I said, okay, I want to meet her. I think that'll be great. So I ran back to my class, finished my exam, went back to Dr. Maloui's class, and then immediately I got on the phone with Chanté, and we just connected. And I think that Chanté actually showed up to an event, and I was actually in Dr. Maloui's class at the time, trying to, get all the information about being an entrepreneur. And I think there's areas where Chanté just naturally is an entrepreneur, and I had to grow into entrepreneurship. So she is the fuel behind the vision and really through and through being an entrepreneur. And then I had to say to myself, okay, I know that I need someone who's a visionary and I can do things operationally, but where is the vision? And so when I met Chanté, I think it was kismet because I was searching for her without knowing I was searching for her. And so I think that's why a lot of our passion is driven into what we do as entrepreneurs and creating something that's going to be, life-changing for both of us and for the women that we serve.
And then this is a situation where you each stay in your lane, right? Like you have a superpower and Dia, you have a superpower, and you just stay focused on that and everything will take care of itself as long as you're working together.
Absolutely.
Chanté will say, oh, that's me. And then sometimes she'll be like, no, that's Dia. Like Dia does it.
We're exactly alike, but so different. It's like we click on the right levels, on the right elements where we need to click. Like Dia she has the same passion for the vision that I have, which is essential. Because somebody I interviewed said, well, I'm doing you a favor. And she was promptly dismissed.
The wrong answer.
she was promptly dismissed.
Exactly.
But Dia shares the same passion that I do. But we're so different. Like she has an analytical mind. I have an imaginative, visionary, creative mind. So it's like the tedious details. Dia enjoys that. So
I love it.
And I'm like, this is giving me a headache.
Right. In 5 minutes, you're
exactly. So it's just like the parts that I'm not so happy about, she enjoys.
Yeah.
Right.
And the parts that she just doesn't get, I'm like, yeah, that's me. I get it.
When she gets something, I'll be like, oh, great, because I didn't get it. I totally missed it. And I think when we were doing the first competition for eFest, we had only prepared for a couple of months. We had just met each other, but we were in the room together, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stay up and work on the presentation. And Chanté says, okay, I'm going to meditate and go to sleep and see the vision. And I was like, okay. And so that was our thing. She was like, when she woke up the next day, she was like, okay, it's time. We have to do this, 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 and this. And I was like, okay, I've done this, 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 and this until 3:00 in the morning. She was meditating, and we came together. And then when we got on stage, I think we didn't even have, some people were preparing for years to be on there. We had only had a couple of months to be on there.
It was a month.
It was like a month.
30 days.
And even our script, like our pitch, we had only known it for like
2.5 weeks.
We learned it on the plane to the competition. So I think when we were able to see our partnership just truly unravel and prepare for moments that would be life-changing for us, we were like, oh, this is how we operate. And then it just has carried on throughout, the life of our business.
Right. Yeah. So I visualize I like to begin with the end in mind. That's my motto. So I see the end. I'm like, what is the outcome that I would like all the way to the end. Right. So for me, my vision for this product is kind of like Bill Gates is with Microsoft. He wanted a computer in every home. And so I want this to be the preferred brand of menstrual care for every woman who has a cycle.
Right.
And so I'm like, what does that look like? That looks like testimonials, letters, and women saying, thank you so much for this product. It looks like me walking into CVS and seeing the product on store shelves. So I see that in my mind. Dia's like, well, how are we going to get there?
I'm like, what are the day-to-day processes to get there?
I'm like, that's not for us to worry about. Hold the vision. I was like, can you trust me?
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, yeah. Cause
I trust you. Now let's get to work.
Right. It was so funny because for the eFest competition, she was like, very analytical. She's like, well, we need to do this. And I was like, well, I'm going to visualize us winning. She's like, but in order to win, you have to do, I was like, well, you do that part. And I'm going to visualize.
Exactly. I'll be working on this other part here.
So it's honestly balance. We balance each other. I think our communication improves over time. Mm-hmm. We're able to say, okay, you do this, I do that. How do we, really come to a, as they say, compromise or a co-promise to make the vision of this company truly come to life?
Now, can you share with the listeners who are putting together their own team out there, right? you have a visionary and an integrator, somebody that's operationally minded, somebody who's kind of looking far out into the horizon, and someone who's looking right in front of their feet, right? So you got to have both going at the same time. If we're both looking at our feet, we're never going to see where we want to go. Right. And if we're only looking where we want to go, we're going to trip over stuff all the time. Yeah. So you got to work together. How would you say, like, it took you, Chanté, dozens of people before you found Dia? What are some kind of tips to identify Dia for another entrepreneur? And Dia, share what it's like to identify that visionary, because that takes a level of humbleness on your part. Because when Chanté says she's the creative one, you're creative too. Right. But it just kind of shows itself in a different way than her creativity. Right. And then you can do some day-to-day stuff, or else you couldn't have moved the needle on the business at all. Right. But you kind of realize your place in the organization. So how do you find each other? Because that seems to be a challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Well, I think for me, it was realizing that I needed a team because I was a one-woman show. Right. So prior to, and I think it was destined or meant for me to meet Dr. Monlouis to enter the competition because that was a requirement and I really wanted to do it. Otherwise, I would have kept soldiering along on my own. But it took me to realize that in order to accomplish something great, you can't do it by yourself. You need a team. And there's nothing wrong with having other people around you, surrounding you to help you. So realizing what your strengths are, as well as your weaknesses, and realizing the need for a team is, I think, the first step to realize that it's actually beneficial. And once you realize that, identify, I guess, the key things that makes a team great. So where I lacked, Dia is strong, and where Dia lacks, I'm strong. And so I think it's finding people that balance you out, like she said, finding people that exhibit the strengths that you need, that you realize. And it takes, I guess, a real non-judgmental look at yourself and say, hey, it's okay to not be strong in this area, and find somebody that is. And then find people that are smarter than you to say, hey, yeah, I know you've done this, and this, but if you do this too, then it will, much improve your business model.
Yeah. And I was actually looking up a quote, but Robert Woodruff, I was in a course last night for business communication, and Robert Woodruff was brought up in terms of, him being the president of Coca-Cola, and he said that the best leaders don't take credit for everything. They give credit when credit is due. They don't need their name on every single thing. They can be in the background and say, I was a part of that, but I understand where the vision came from, or who actually, was able to implement that better than maybe I could have. And so I think for me, I take pride in the fact that I represent Chanté well. I represent her vision well. And if we want to make history together, we can't butt heads and say, hey, I need my credit for this, or I need my credit for that. I'm okay with saying, I struggle sometimes with my creativity in terms of the vision. And she is able to meet me halfway and say, I got you. And so I think in a partnership, you have to find someone who's going to say, I got you. Don't worry about it. Like, we got this together, and not just like, well, I did this and you did that, or, that you can't miss the mark on that communication. It has to be okay to give credit where credit is due. And it's okay to be in the background.
So now how did you kind of, get the trust level to where it had to be in order for you to really believe that each of you has the other's back? You remember, did anything happen, or did this happen kind of organically just when you met and you just started hanging out together?
Well, no, with me,
because for you, Chanté, you were the founder. This is something you've been thinking about for a long time before you met Dia. So and then to trust her, with your baby, that probably was not the easiest thing in the world.
Not the easiest thing in the world, but I follow intuition, and I read energy as well as action. So people can fix their mouths to say anything, but few follow through on their promises. So how I gauge my relationships with people is, if I say I'm going to do it, it's as good as done. And I expect the same thing in return. So when I meet someone and give a task, or they tell me they can do something, I don't like to repeat myself. So I'm not going to ask, if you say you can do it, then do it. I'm not going to remind you, because if you want to do it, you're going to do it. I don't have to remind you to eat when it's time, when your belly's hungry.
Right.
So I shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Right. So if it's something that you really want to do, then you're going to follow up and you're going to do it. And with Dia, that is what she did. So there were tasks that needed to be completed for the pitch competition. And with her, I didn't have to remind her to do different things. And then she would bring up additional things that could be done as well. So I saw that she was putting forth effort. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just me having to assign her task.
Right. And she didn't have to be perfect.
No, and it wasn't, but the thing was, and she was open to correction, and she would point out things that I was doing that weren't perfect as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't just a yes man. It was more
exactly.
so like,
right.
Okay, let's change this or let's do that. And I like the fact that you brought up, we're not perfect. Even this weekend, I had a task that I was supposed to do. I dropped the ball and I think there was miscommunication on my end. And I had to be transparent and say, hey, I dropped the ball on that. I misunderstood it and I apologize. How do I correct it? Versus just being like, well, it was on you, or you could have did this, or you could have did that. And Chanté was like, I could feel her being like, okay, you missed that one. But it was a quick recovery of, okay, I got this, you got that, we'll take care of it kind of thing. It's not like we just let a bump in the road just block us or mess us up.
Blame. You can't be in the blame game. You're in the problem solving game.
Exactly.
It doesn't
Especially
matter who
when we're building a legacy, and I think with legacy comes transparency. Mm-hmm. So we have to be transparent and say, this is your strength, this is my strength, this is where I need your help, this is where you need my help, and this is how we come together. And if we're just transparent, I think we get so much farther, so much faster, because we have honest communication, not only just professionally, even in our personal lives, because your personal life can affect your business.
Right.
So we have those conversations. What's going on outside of just DelivHer and school?
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Is there anything I can help with?
Right. Is there things that I can help with? And I think that is overall how you come together and build a legacy, because we do see ourselves as legacy players.
Now, talk about the Main Street Fund for a second. How has that experience helped the company grow?
The Main Street Entrepreneurship Seed Fund has helped us with, I guess, giving us direction towards building the infrastructure for the business, as well as giving us some needed funding to continue with the prototyping that we've done to bring the product to market. We've also filed for 2 additional patents since becoming, a part of the program, and the assistance and guidance that we receive from Dr. Monlouis, MK, and Jameen, has helped us tremendously. The guidance that they give us, the direction, they don't give us the answers. What they do is make us think about our business model, and give us options on how you want to do it. So when we first came in the program, we were thinking, hey, we could do direct to consumer, we can do wholesale, we could do licensing, we can do a distribution, a manufacturing. It was so many different ways that we could, take the business. And now we've settled on, hey, for this demo day with the players that we're going to have in the audience that are going to be in attendance, our best route would be distribution and manufacturing partners, because that's who's going to be there. And we could definitely use that. So if we gain that, let's say a distribution or manufacturing partnership with a Kimberly-Clark or Johnson & Johnson, that's like taking the express elevator instead of the stairs to get to where we want to go.
And they helped you be aware of that and focus your attention on that rather than
spreading it on so many different models.
Things.
Exactly.
Where 2 were the only one that mattered today.
Yes.
And that helps a lot.
Absolutely.
That focus is when stuff gets done.
Yeah, they helped us to streamline our focus.
And I think the overall goal is to really not just be another competition, but more so be, like you said, in that elevator to get us to where this is a real company. This is commercializing. Right. We really have a product that is valuable for women in this world to experience. And I think when you see that, once again, Chanté's the vision. So sometimes I need those presentations and those conversations to be like, okay, how, and this is our how we make it come to life. So we're very appreciative.
So now, Dia, in your background, had you ever had your own idea for a business or a product that you were going to pursue outside of this?
Yes. So when I originally had a class with Dr. Monlouis in Entrepreneurship and Innovation, I was doing a swimwear line, a customized swimwear line, because I come from the Miss USA system, and I understood that there were women who needed customized swimwear. So that was one of the biggest things that I started on. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. This is fun. Right. And one thing that I quickly realized is A, you need a team. And B, going into my first competition, I did win that competition, but I think I was like, I need something more. Like, I love this idea, and I think it's something that I could come back to in the future, but I really wanted something that fulfilled a purpose for me, that was going to kind of take me into a strategy that I felt was leading to something long term. And so when I met Chanté, I was like, this is it.
It had a bigger why.
It had a bigger, I wanted to impact women. And I know from coming from the Miss USA system, the things that we needed to compete and feel confident and comfortable in our swimwear when on stage. But I was like, I want something else, something bigger.
Right.
And Chanté has always been the person that's like, well, we can still do that one day. Right. And one day our house is going to be store shelves, and then we're going to have your swimwear. And then she just goes on and on and on. And I'm like, the vision is, I need consolidated vision.
One vision at a time.
Well, no, I already figured out. I was like, okay, so we can incorporate this into our subscription
this
service.
Makes perfect sense.
Right. I was like, Dia, this is what we can do. She was like, can we, like you said, can we focus on one vision at a time? I was like, but no, we can combine the vision.
The biggest thing she said was, well, don't let that dream die. And I was like, okay.
But I'll keep it over here.
Keep it over here. But this is our baby now. So we'll add other things there, but we're going to do this. But she sees the whole thing. So I think that's one way that I trusted her. She was never like, your vision isn't big enough. She's like, I'll vision for both of us. Exactly. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Because I don't see it sometimes. So that was where my trust factor came in with her.
So now you ready for this demo day? It's coming up fast.
Absolutely.
We're always ready.
I'm like, if you stay ready, you ain't never got to get ready.
Exactly. Good advice. That's a t-shirt right there.
She has a pitch deck right now in her purse, ready to go.
In my head.
In her head, in her purse.
I see her shaking hands with people in the audience, like, thank you so much.
Holding that big check up, right?
Yes, I've already signed.
Yeah.
So now, once you win this competition, what's the next step after that? You already know how this goes.
The next
Chanté,
step,
so just tell us.
Right. Take it away, Chanté.
You know how the story ends.
So with this, with partnering with manufacturing, just imagine with me for a minute, you guys. Let me take you on a little journey. So just imagine you partner with a company that has their own manufacturing facilities. They have distribution to 151 countries around the world. What that does for a product like this is it, like I said, put it on an express elevator, but they can create this in 30 to 60 days, and it can be on store shelves. It can be in women's hands all around the world, whether my face or Dia's face or our names are attached to it. Does not matter.
Right.
As long as those checks come in.
Exactly. Anybody's face can be on it.
Exactly.
As long as the checks are written to the right place.
Right. So having my name on it, it doesn't matter. They can say, hey, we want to license this, but we don't want you to be a part of it. Okay.
Just we are make that check to the out dream. Selfless to the vision.
Right. So it's like you can name it whatever you want to name it, as long as we get this product out to women everywhere, because it is a superior product. We've combined all the best features of traditional products without the subpar features into one very effective product that lasts longer, it's safer, it's more effective, and it's less messy than anything that's on the market. So it's unparalleled by anything that's out there. So with having a company, a legacy player, or someone who knows entrepreneurship, who knows innovation, who knows how to manufacture and distribute, has a distribution channel already, that is my dream come true.
All right. So you're one step closer.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted to learn more, is there a website for you right now?
It is DelivHer.com, and that's www.DelivHer. It's in beta stage right now, but it should be completed by the end of this month.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and best of luck. Not that you need it, because it's already, you see it. So it is there.
It's done.
It is there.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank you.
Hey, stay with us. We got one more guest we're going to visit with, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Micah, I'm sorry you have to follow that act, buddy, but bringing it home for us for our live broadcast here at Georgia State Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute for GSU ENI Radio. We have with us the founder and CEO with NVRBeen Standard, Mr. Micah Ford. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good.
So tell us about NVRBeen Standard. What are you doing for folks?
NVRBeen Standard is a motivational clothing line that identifies with people like you all. That's pursuing their passions, that goals and their dreams, and at the same time empower other people to follow their goals and their passions and their dreams. So I do so by providing quality clothing at a reasonable price. I do so at pop-up shops and via online. I have a website, thanks to Shopify, and also thanks to the Main Street Fund for helping me have the funding to start my own. I have a relatable website to my target audience.
So now, how has the fund helped you in growing the business outside of the money part? Have they given you any advice or any counsel or?
Besides the funding, I've received counsel from MK, and other people that's is inside the cohort. I've been able to collaborate with other people to help me grow my brand. For instance, Inspire, I'm collaborating with them, this year, and, Eco Drop, I'm doing that as well.
So now how do you collaborate with those folks?
We simply, they'll hit me up or I hit them up. Like, for instance, Eco Drop, they, proposed this, deal where if people simply recycle like 10 items, they would get like 10% off on my website using a code. And then, Inspire, we're doing something called, we're doing goal groups where we're trying to help people achieve their New Year's resolutions for 2020. Cause, 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February. So we're trying to essentially break the standard on that.
So now, you mentioned that it's an online shop right now that you have that people can buy the stuff.
Yes, sir.
So what stuff's online? So,
online I have, I just released my Black History Month hoodie that I'm wearing right now. Well, the website first is NVRBeen Standard, NVRBeenStandard.com. And on the website, I have sweatshirts, hoodies, sweatpants, beanies, and I plan to drop, like accessory items like backpacks and, phone cases in the future.
So now how do you kind of get the stuff, here and then offer it for sale? Like, do you have to stock the stuff or how is it being manufactured?
Right now I get it manufactured overseas in, Pakistan, and they make the clothes and they print it over there and they simply ship it to me. And I hold it in my closet. I have a really big closet.
That's your warehouse?
Yeah, that's my warehouse.
Private warehouse.
Yeah, I went to Target recently and I bought one of those storage units, the storage drawers. You know, so that's my warehouse.
So when you're doing kind of clothing, I would imagine some of the challenges are like, how do you know what sizes to buy?
That's the biggest challenge. So thanks to Instagram, I use polls. So, Instagram, I always ask people like, what are your sizes? And I go off from what's the biggest amount. Like, for instance, I'm releasing crop tops and biker shorts for, ladies this year. And, I just went off like the main sizes because I understand the way women's size setup is different especially for bottoms, like their size, like the waist and thighs is different. So I go on, I look up size charts from other big companies like Fashion Nova. Then I ask people on Instagram, like their sizes, and I go from there. But I always get a small quantity because my closet's not that big to hold 1,000 products yet.
The warehouse space, you have to grow into that.
Mm-hmm.
So now, when you went and you bought that first pile of clothing, right, and it comes to your warehouse, and you're sorting through it, you're like, wow, I spent a lot of money on this stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
And now I got to sell this stuff.
Yeah.
What was that? That had to be a little nerve wracking, right?
It was, especially when I dropped my hoodies and my sweatpants in the beginning of September after Main Street orientation. I was like, how am I going to sell 88 products? And thankfully, I was able to break even. Almost sold out on it. Actually, started going into January, but It is like scary at first, but I always have like backup plans. Like for instance, there's a thrift store called Rack-A-Rama. You've ever heard it in the Little 5 Points? Mm-hmm. So if I ever have an instance where I can't move a product, if I ever get to that point, I haven't got to that point yet, I'll simply go there because at Rack-A-Rama they buy, sell, and trade clothes there, and they even said I can put my clothing line in their store on a commission basis.
Okay, so then eventually it'll get sold.
Yes.
And then so then you use the money from each run you do to buy the next run? Is that where you're at right now?
Yeah. Well, for like it depends. Like for my shirt, when I did my shirts, yes. But for my hoodies and sweatpants, I just did it for like the next item. I used that funding towards my limited edition crew necks that I had. And then because I'm not releasing those again until next year. And then so I used the funding to like next items because most people are not going to see that item again. Only item people really see over and over again would be the t-shirts as of now until I get a little bit bigger.
So now have you gotten to the point where people are like you're selling out and you're rebuying and the t-shirts right now? Is that the most popular items?
Right now the most popular item is the Black History Month hoodie. I had only got like 18 of those, and I'm down to like 7 left, I believe. 7 or 6.
They're going fast.
They're going fast.
You better hurry up.
Is there a never standard backstory or something that helps you sell this stuff? It just seems like such a crowded marketplace. It seems like maybe this never standard backstory might be part of what's going to help you differentiate.
Yeah, for the most, like, especially when I do pop shops, when I go to Spelman or if I go somewhere else, I simply tell them it's never been standard. It's a clothing line that inspires outstanding individuals like yourself, because I don't see nobody as standard. I give them the spiel, like what the words stand for and the colors in it, because in psychology, colors and words have meaning. So I give them the whole spiel. But something I really don't tell people, but it's on my about page, is that how you don't have to go to college. You don't have to have a 4.0. You don't have to follow anybody else's dreams. You just have to be the best you. Cause I too was a college dropout. I too got fired from my job, but all those instances that brought me to my lowest point in my life has helped me grow into a better person and a better entrepreneur. And I was able to learn from it, so people can relate to that, especially since I'm providing a quality clothing at a reasonable price, instead of big brands like Nike and Adidas and Champion.
So now for you getting involved with the Main Street Fund, has that kind of gave you some money, but are you ready for the demo day to take the business, in front of the bunch of people that can, like Chanté and Dia mentioned, they could take you to the next level. They can get you on that express lane.
Oh, most definitely, because I definitely have the connections overseas to provide at least 10,000 products within a month, because they always asking me when you gonna do big orders. I'm like, when I get there. So I pride myself on being able to negotiate. My advisor in student life says my biggest trait is that my woo. I can persuade people, because it's like either you work for me or you work with me or you work without me. You're just gonna be watching my story. So yes. So yeah,
confidence is important.
It's absolutely important.
But with demo day, I'm definitely prepared, because I want to be in big box stores like Champs, and feel like I've already like vision like you have. Like I've seen the vision. Like it's happening regardless, one way or another. It's gonna happen. And also vision, because I recently donated jerseys to a youth basketball team, because in the future I plan to make jerseys for the NBA and NFL by like at least 2022, because American suppliers at least charge it. They overprice their jerseys more than what I get, and I get it for the same quality overseas. So that's my big goals.
So now Chanté has a partner. Do you have a partner? This is just, you're still running this show solo?
Well, I wouldn't really say I'm solo dolo. Cause my god brother in Delaware, he helped fund the business back in 2017 before I launched in 2018. He gave me like 1/3 of the startup money when we started off with just regular dingy t-shirts. And but then I have brand ambassadors now. They really just they just promote on Instagram, and then they get commission off their discount codes. So that's what I do now.
So how'd you set that up? That's good advice for some young person that wants to get something going, to get some brand ambassadors working for you.
I just got my friends. And then I was going to start with like 2 or 3. But then like when word got out, people kept asking and I was like, ooh, I'm kind of scared. But then I thought about it. Why not have 20 brand ambassadors to see what happens? And like you said, you give people a task and you really see who's really going to work for you. Cause even though I got 20 brand ambassadors, it's only like really 5 of them that, really share and stuff. And that's who I really know who will really work for me. So if I do get bigger, I'll be able to do like, another level of being a brand ambassador. Like, you get paid for each page post. Like every time you post something with my brand on, you can get paid on it.
So now, but when how would somebody execute a brand ambassador plan? So you created some codes to give to your brand ambassadors, and then when they shared it, and then somebody bought something from those codes, you were able to compensate them in some manner. Yeah.
So let's say running like this. So say for instance, you buy a shirt for $10 on my website, and you use your code, and just say your code is Radio X. Your code is like 10%, 10 or 15% off. And then, in that 10, how do I base it? Yeah. So I do 10%. So it's 15% for the customer now and 10% for you.
So then the customer gets some money off, and then the brand ambassador gets a commission. For each sale. Every time that code's used.
Every time the code is used. And
so how do you keep track of that?
Shopify.
So Shopify has a brand ambassador.
They don't have program? No, it's not a program in it. It's more so with the discount codes, because each discount code is personalized. So somebody is like Shelly 23, another one is like Vontae 10. Every time that code is used, I'm like, hey, someone use your discount code. You're going to get your commission off this item. And then like I notify them because they don't know. I know.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on all the success. It sounds like you've come a long way since the last time we talked.
Yes,
You're making progress.
Always.
Moving the ball. So one more time, if somebody wants to learn more and wants to get a hold of the soon to be sold out Black History Month hoodie.
You can follow me on Instagram. There's a link in the description at the letter N, BS, like boy and soccer apparel. Or you can go directly to my website. It's NVRBeen Standard, NVRBeen, BEEN Standard.com.
Good stuff, Micah. Congratulations, and thank you for sharing your story.
All right. Thank you.
All right. This is Lee Cantor for Stone Payton. We will see you all next time on GSU ENI Radio.